WIONs had access to the final conversation that took place between security forces and the eliminated Lashkar-e-Taiba commander Abu Dujana in Pulwama on Wednesday. Let's just take our viewers through details of that. He first rejected a phone call from an army officer to surrender while admitting that he had left behind his parents in Gilgit-Baltistan for jihad. All right, let's cut across to WION's political editor, Kartikeya Sharma. He's joining us live from the newsroom for more on that story. Kartikeya, important details coming out with the release of that conversation. It goes to show that security forces did ask Dujana to first surrender. However, that didn't happen.
See, what happened was that the officers wanted him to surrender and they were repeatedly telling him to come out of the house. But despite telling him, he did not surrender. Basically, the issue came down to the fact that the Indian officers were aware that, you know, like for example, Kasab, you know, when we caught Kasab, we were able to expose Pakistan all through the world. So, you know, this is one practice which Indian forces have adopted, that, you know, if you know the person is from Pakistan, then it's important thing is to capture him so that at least that the point can be made that there are foreign militants operating in various parts of India, especially who come from Pakistan. So this is the reason why. But then you'll see that he's a hardened militant, and he said he will not surrender, and it's for a simple reason, because, you know, ultimately the security forces have given us the audio clip in which the major is being heard saying that to surrender. He says, no, I will not surrender. It's also part of this, you know, psychological warfare which the Indian military has engaged in, that, you know, there are options available to the terrorists who want to put their guns down. So it also depends on them whether they want to exercise that choice. That choice is also available. So, you know, it works in a two-pronged way.
What do you make of this, Kartikeya, in terms of the fact that this conversation has come to light, that the public has access to it now? What exactly do you think the army is trying to do here? You mentioned psychological warfare. We're talking about a hit list that the armed forces will also come up with as far as terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir goes. Does this indicate a change in policy in some ways?
I would say that they become more conscious of the fact that, you know, you have a cyber warfare which is taking place. People don't need to congregate at a particular place to get inspired, mobilized and organize an attack. You know, you can do it over in and around virtual space, and that's the reason why it has become very, very important for security forces to engage them. Aisha, look at the way the photographs are used by terrorists to make their existence or make the life of a terrorist look pretty cool, you know. So, you know, for example, the imagery utilized or the savagery projected by ISIS on social media actually led to a lot of lone wolves attack in Europe and America.
Right.
So similarly, it is being done here. But, you know, once we play out the audio, one thing is very clear: he was given the option to surrender.
All right, stay with me, Kartikeya, because we do have that audio ready for play out. Let's take our viewers through what exactly that last conversation was all about.
हेलो हाँ दुजाना,
क्या हाल है?
हाँ
क्या हाल है?
हमारे हाल तो छोड़ तू क्यों सरेंडर क्यों नहीं करता?
कहाँ करूँगा सरेंडर है दोस्त?
क्यों भाई?
तो 10 निकले शहीद होने के लिए।
अरे यार,
आज ही मरना, कल में मरना।
अरे ठीक है, वो जो निकले थे तो निकले थे, तेरे को तो पता है ना अभी क्या है, सब खराब है, ये गेम है सब।
मैं क्या करूँ, इसको गेम खेलना, खेलूँ, मुझे अपना रास्ता लेना देना है।
यार सुन मेरी बात भाई, तूने शादी की है उससे यार, लड़की से।
मैंने कोई शादी बात नहीं की, सब झूठ है, एक मतलब प्रोपेगेंडा है। शादी बात मुझे किसी को कोई शादी बात नहीं की।
तेरे को था उसे तू करना, तू अपनी सोच यार, तू तेरे माँ बाप है बाहर यार, पार।
माँ बाप तो उस दिन मर गया जिस दिन उनको छोड़ के आया।
अरे यार उनके लिए तू थोड़ी ना मरा है, तू नहीं मरा उनके लिए। मैं तू तैयार हो, मैं करवाऊंगा, मैं कब बोल रहा हूँ।
और सुनाओ क्या हाल
यार? अभी ये कौन सा टाइम है हाल का? हमारा ठीक है यार।
अरे हाल पूछने की यही टाइम है, बताओ। बहुत दिन बाद, बहुत सालों बाद आपसे फोन में बात हो रही है। हम जोर से खेल रहे थे उस दिन।
यही तो है, और ये गेम अब खत्म ही कर दे यार, इसको ऐसा कुछ नहीं।
कभी आप आगे हम पीछे, कभी आप पीछे हम आगे। चलो
यार
आपने पकड़ लिया, मुबारक हो आपको।
नहीं देख, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। तेरी अपना काम था, तू अपने फर्ज पे निकला था, हम अपने फर्ज पे निकले हैं।
ये लेकिन अपना फर्ज निभाऊंगा, अपना फर्ज निभाऊंगा।
छोड़ दे, मान ले यार, मान ले।
नहीं
मान बात, कोई बात नहीं, कुछ नहीं होगा।
नहीं वाला नहीं यार।
देख, ये लोग भी मारे जाएंगे, इनको पार से छोड़ेंगे नहीं इसी चीज में, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है
यार। जीवन को जो करना है कर, मुझे क्या है।
देख, मान ले बात यार। देख, नहीं, कोई भी नहीं चाहता है यहाँ पे, कोई खूनी नहीं है यार, कोई नहीं चाहता कि किसी को मारें, किसी को खत्म करें।
तो मुझे पता, चलो ठीक है यार, जिसने आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन दी उसने वो तो चाहता होगा ना हम मर जाए
यार। हमें कोई खबर नहीं, मैं तो हूँ ही नहीं इधर, तेरे को पता है। मैं भी तूने मेरे को देखा कभी?
मैंने बहुत को देखा है।
मेरे को देखा है? मेरे को
माँ ने देखा हो।
हाँ, हेलो हेलो हेलो,
मैं सुन रहा हूँ, तुम बोलो।
मैंने कहा तूने मेरे को देखा है कभी?
मैंने बहुत दफा को देखा है।
अच्छा, कहाँ पे देखा मुझे?
यार बहुत दफा देखा है।
कहाँ पे?
आप आपकी मूवमेंट होती, मैंने आपको बहुत दफा देखा है, इधर उधर घूमते हुए साइड में, जरूर साइड में। हाँ।
चल देख यार, देख, कोई ऐसा कुछ नहीं है हमारे लिए, हमने कोई तेरे लिए बहुत दुश्मनी नहीं। तू कर सरेंडर। देखिए,
सरेंडर मैं नहीं कर सकता हूँ, मेरी बात सुनो। मुझे पता है आपसे मेरे कोई दुश्मनी नहीं है। आप अपना फर्ज निभा रहे हैं, मैं अपना फर्ज निभाऊंगा। आपकी ड्यूटी है भैया सर, आप ड्यूटी दो अपना, कोई बात नहीं। जो मेरे किस्मत में लिखा होगा अल्लाह वही करेगा, ठीक है।
देख, अल्लाह तो साथ देगा ही देगा यार, जो भी है। वो थोड़ी ना बुरा चाहता है किसी का भी। उसने वो हमारे लिए भी एक ही है।
सच बात है, वो तो आपके लिए भी मेरे लिए भी एक ही है।
बिल्कुल। तो फिर
अच्छा सुनाओ, आप हालात सुनाओ, बाहर क्या हालात है? बाहर बैठ के क्यों बात करते हो? अंदर आ जाओ ना।
मैं बाहर नहीं हूँ यार, मैं बाहर नहीं हूँ। मैं बाहर नहीं हूँ।
अच्छा,
मैं कहीं और हूँ, मैं नहीं हूँ बाहर, मैं बाहर नहीं हूँ। अगर मैं बाहर होता तो तेरे को खुद ही पता चल जाता, मेरे उससे आवाज से ही पता चल जाता। मैं यहाँ नहीं हूँ।
आप कहाँ पे फिर?
मैं हूँ ही नहीं यहाँ पे यार, मैं दूर हूँ यहाँ से। मैं अवंतीपुरा में कहीं हूँ बैठा, समझ ले।
अच्छा ठीक।
मैं नहीं हूँ यहाँ पे। मेरा एरिया था, मैं वहाँ बहुत घूमा हूँ यार। मैंने चप्पे चप्पे देखे, वहाँ पे बहुत भागा तेरे पीछे भी। पर कोई बात नहीं, कभी कुछ।
चलो आज पकड़ लेते हो, बात नहीं।
नहीं देख, नफरत से हम भी नहीं कभी भागे पीछे, ऐसा कोई बात नहीं है। हमारा फर्ज था, हमने अपने किया काम। तेरा अपना फर्ज था,
आपकी ड्यूटी आपको निभाना है, ड्यूटी अपनी।
तो तू देख, मुझे बता, देखो तुझे सब पता है यहाँ पे क्या गेम है, तो सब जान चुका है।
मुझे सब पता है, मुझे A to Z पता है क्या है ये, कौन क्या गेम है, क्या मतलब सिस्टम क्या है, सब कुछ मुझे पता है।
तो फिर देख, तुझे भी तो पता है कि ये जिहाद नहीं है। लोग निकले जिहाद के लिए, पर ये जिहाद नहीं है ना यार।
चलो यार, क्या करेंगे।
तो फिर देख, फिर तुम निकलो यार, तुम ही लोगों को समझाओगे तभी तो खून खराबा कम होगा। तुम लोग नहीं बताओगे तो फिर कौन मानेगा यार यहाँ पे।
पता मैंने कैसे खून खराबा की नहीं था, इसमें क्या है।
देख, वही
मुझे जानते हैं, वो उनको पता ही है।
मुझे मालूम है यार, मुझे मालूम है, मुझे अच्छे से पता है। पर तू जब देख, तू खड़ा होगा, तू बताएगा यार, तू मेन कमांडर है बड़ा, बताएगा तो ये चीज है, चीजें सामने होंगी यार लोगों के। यहाँ तो कश्मीरी मरते रहेंगे यार, कश्मीरी मरते रहेंगे भाई। हाँ
अच्छा ठीक है यार।
देख यार भाई, देख, तू कर कुछ, तू बोल, बना अपना माइंड।
WION's political editor Kartikeya Sharma continues to join us from the newsroom on that story. Kartikeya, were you surprised by the tone of that conversation? They were laughing at times. It was almost banter between the two.
No. In fact, in a way, it was riveting in a way because, it just brings two people together. The one who was killed by the security forces because he's a terrorist. He came from Baltistan. And he was involved in one of the two most gruesome attacks which took place on armed forces. But Aisha, the issue is, if you listen to the army officer, he kept on saying that you surrender. He kept on saying that, the more you indulge in this, the common Kashmiri, he has to suffer. He said that you have to think about your parents. Dujana says, my parents died when I left them. The police officer said that let's not make it personal. It's about the people it's about the people. Then he Dujana wanted to locate him, probably wanted to psych the officer off. He said, I know you. So the officer said, if you know me, then tell me then tell me where did you see me. Dujana didn't do that. So it was a pure psychological game. It was a war of mind which took place in those 5 minutes of the audio clipping. And he said, you come out and surrender. That's the way we can end things here. And Dujana, for his own reasons, he did not surrender. But it did tell us that the armed forces did give him a way out to surrender, which he did not utilize.
Right, absolutely. In fact, you pointed out some interesting aspects of that conversation, and in many ways, Kartikeya, do you feel that this also challenges existing narratives about the role of the army, of the armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir, and perhaps the tactics that are utilized in the state?
No, I would say, see, there are a couple of things happening. We understand one part of the terrorism because, there are certain restricted areas which are not part of the public domain, Aisha. But then, for someone to go inside with a telephone, cell phone, for someone to get connected, Dujana to come online, the armed forces to tell him that you surrender, we are giving you an option, to tell him that, you think about your parents, to tell him that you have married a woman. Dujana says, no, I have not married anyone. But the fact is that he got married. And there has been a rise of this phenomena of militants coming across, marrying into Kashmiri families, so they can tap into the kinship network of the village or the kinship network of the local societies for them to sustain themselves, because that's the best way you do. If you become part of the society, then society sustains you. So Dujana says, no, I don't care about these things. So the army officer was trying to remind him of certain things so that he comes out. But ultimately what happened? Army had to get in the operation. In this operation, 2 terrorists were killed, one Dujana and his associate. So all the options given by forces to Dujana, Dujana exhausted them by not going for it.
Right. It's also interesting, Kartikeya, in that conversation that Dujana says that he doesn't see the army man as an enemy, and in fact he says that they're both doing their jobs, that they're both carrying out their duties. What do you make of that comment? Does it also in many ways humanize the conflict that's taking place in Kashmir?
I would say, generally when conflicts take place, that's, it's an academic question. When conflicts take place, people who are part of conflict sometimes they depersonalize it. It's like if you read the diaries of those who got tried post World War, Auschwitz, they would say they did their duty. No one said that they killed the Jews. They said, I just pressed the button. Someone said, I just maintained the logs. Someone said, I just stood at the gate. I collected the important, expensive items from the Jews.
Right.
So that's what Dujana says. He said, I'm just doing my job. So the army officers say that that it's a game being run from across the border. He says, no, yes, I know that, but I'm just doing my job. So, you depersonalize it, that personal element which makes a person human, and the word called compassion, ability to understand the problem of others, you do away with that. That is why Dujana completely dealt with the officer at an impersonal level. He said, no, I understand the game. It's okay.
Right. Before I let you go, Kartikeya, just one last question. What do you make of the decision to make this audio clipping public?
I think it was absolutely important, a message to be given out that army just does not go for a kill like that. Many people would say that, this could have been a second Kasab, but the fact of the matter is that army chose the first step, that you surrender, which means it was not going for a blind kill. It's not like those drone attacks which takes place in Afghanistan. Someone sitting in United States of America in Kansas, presses a button and then someone dies with an audio and a video lag of 6 seconds. It's not the case. The officer was in touch. Officer said that this will lead to violence. Common people will get affected. And I think he's right, the house got burned, people must have been dislocated from there when the firing took place. So the army gave all the options. It is imperative that the people know that it was not like a blind killing which they went in. The options were given, he did not exercise it.
Okay, we'll leave it at that, Kartikeya. Thanks very much for joining us on that story and sort of breaking it down for our viewers.